$250,000 in 30 days using a simple video funnel with YouTube ads. What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? Today, we've got an amazing guest, Alex Rivera. I interviewed him. It was a short interview because he was so to the point. I love this funnel. 38 clients. He's invested $6 million in YouTube ads and created $18 million in sales in the last few years using one funnel. All 38 use one funnel, all right? It's the simplest, easiest funnel if you have an offer that sells for thousands of dollars. If you have a coaching offer or an information offer that's $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 or more, this is the funnel for you. It's simple, it's to the point, and even if you don't have one, you're gonna listen to this and want to have one. I am going to actually be doing this funnel. That is a guarantee. And we turned it into a bit of a consultation session halfway through the episode. So you can get a little here. You hear a little bit about what I'm working on right now, where I'm going to apply Alex's lessons. So yes, you need YouTube ads for this. All right. He's had tremendous results. There's never a guarantee, but let's dive in with him and learn about this. But before we do that, lurnexpert.com, L-U-R-N, expert, E-X-P-E-R-T.com. Free course, free newsletter, free community. Go, takes you 30 seconds to sign up for it. I'm building the community now to just change the entire world of education. I want to change the landscape of education and remove the intermediaries from it and connect those who are experts directly with those who are seeking. And if you want to be a part of that revolution, Lurn expert.com. All right. And anikpodcast.com to binge listen to all of our episodes. Enough of this. Let's go to Alex. All right, Alex. So you've thrown a lot of numbers at me before we started filming. You've got me foaming at the mouth. I'm super interested. And funny enough, this is how you got me to begin with, right? Like, I think I reached out to you like a year and a half ago. He put some Facebook case study up. I don't even know how we became Facebook friends. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. So you threw a couple of numbers. So one is one of your clients, you used the exact strategy you're going to share today to do $250,000 in 30 days on a very small ad spend on YouTube only. But then macro across all of your clients, you just told me on like $18 million generated in what time frame?
That's over the past 3 years.
3 years, 18 million on a 6 million spend. So that's a 300% ROAS, I think. I don't know how we look at that, or 200. Yeah. So huge ROAS, return on ad spend for anyone listening. I just want to throw a quick little disclaimer out to everybody. If you're listening to this episode, remember, we're going to throw numbers and big figures at you. There's never a guarantee that that's what you're going to make just by listening to this episode. We're giving you live examples and scenarios. This particular model does require you to spend a little bit of money on YouTube ads. So be safe, be cautious, be wise. For if you're wondering, do YouTube ads work? I've spent a fortune on them and I love them. But of course, every situation is different. So I just want to make sure we're very good about that and everyone understands that. But Alex, listen, man, I have watched you for a long time. I'm really, really just loving how you're growing. And more people are running to you for your YouTube ads. The particular thing I brought you on here today was you've got this simple video funnel that you seem to be rinsing and repeating to get ridiculous results. So please talk about you, talk about what you do, and talk about your funnel, and we'll dive in. I'll have a lot of questions. I'm excited.
100%. So yeah, just kind of, I guess, give a quick backstory. I really started my agency, like, believe it or not, just doing Facebook ads. That's really what we offered as a service. So started that about like 5 years ago. But I just kind of found like Facebook ads were just so saturated in regards to there's a lot of Facebook ad agencies out there. But like little by little, I just kind of started testing YouTube ads with our clients, just started getting better and better results, and eventually just 100% just switched over to YouTube ads. But at this point, we're managing a little over 600K in ad spend per month, while averaging around 3 to 4x for our clients. But the video funnel that you're mentioning is basically just a VSL funnel. And really what it is, like the most important, I guess, aspect of the video itself is the VSL is around 10 to 15 minutes. So it's really not that long. It's super short, but super concise. And the other big thing there is like just being direct, because when you're sending people to this funnel from YouTube ads, YouTube is a video platform. So people are already used to video. So that's what they're expecting. That's what they want. So when they're looking at YouTube, they're looking for help with their issue, their problems, or like their pains. And if your offer is something that can help them, obviously they're going to be searching around on YouTube for questions around how to get that solution to their pain. And if they're just watching 4 or 5 different videos that are all like 10 minutes each, they're scrolling through these different videos looking for that information. And if they see your ad, and you can basically explain to them that whatever video or whatever training you have is going to answer all their questions, in a video format, then that's exactly what they've been looking for. And that's exactly what they've been searching for. So essentially, once they opt in, just I guess kind of give you an overflow of the structure of the funnel. It goes from ad to landing page to VSL page, and then the booking, or in this case, if you're going, primarily most of our clients are going for book calls. So after the VSL page, you go to the calendar page to book a call, and then the confirmation page. But again, once they opt in on that landing page, they go straight to the VSL page, which again is just 10 to 15 minutes. Now, the biggest thing here is we split test this a bit, where it's like we delayed the button and we delay the speed. So we force the viewers to watch. And then we split tested with basically the opposite, just giving them the access or giving them the ability to skip through, as well as like the ability to look at that calendar page immediately. But what we found is like, once we do that, where in regards to just letting them skip through, the volume does increase like tremendously. There's a lot of like book calls, but a lot of no-shows because they're not as serious. But when we force them to watch the video and consume that content, and again, if it's short, concise, and to the point, and they can feel the value, that's really what we found to get the best results in regards to volume as well as quality.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So lots to unpack there. I was writing a bunch of questions down. Now, most of your clients are running funnels that lead to a higher ticket sale. Like, what's an average price point of your client that they're selling?
Yeah, I would say like on the lower end right now, or I guess the lowest price point our client has like a $1,600 price point. On the higher end, we have $35K, which even at that, believe it or not, like this month they've had two like paid in full like $35K sales from their ads. So again, the quality is there.
They've had how many? Sorry.
235K like paid in fulls, because like, you know, typically high ticket coaches they'll like put in payment plans, but they've had two like paid in fulls, which is like that's probably like our biggest win as for our clients at least.
That's awesome. All right. So 1,600 to 35K sold on the phone. So if you're listening to this, everyone, basically this is the solution to selling like super ticket products and how to do it. You're going from YouTube to a landing page. Now your landing page, I'm going to come back and talk about YouTube ads and the targeting and the type of ads, but I'm curious about the landing page. What does a typical landing page look like? Is it just a headline and an email? Are you offering a free book? Is there some kind of gift being offered? Like, what is the message on a landing page?
So the landing page is essentially just offering that VSL, which we can either position as a free training or like a masterclass, if you want to call it. But that's really what the opt-in or the lead magnet is. You know, if they give their name and their email, in exchange, you're giving them that training, which on the next page, you can see that video. But the landing page is really, it's super simple, because we get, I'd say 90% of our clients, they've been running Facebook ads, either their ads tank or they get their ads account like shut down. But the point I'm trying to make is like when they have a landing page that they've been using for Facebook ads for a while, and it's been converting really well, more often than not, we'll have to tweak the landing page for YouTube just to simplify it. That's really the biggest thing. Because if you think about it, Facebook is obviously a completely different platform than YouTube. Whereas like you might have to give a little bit more information on the landing page based on what kind of ad you use for Facebook. But with YouTube, since the videos, which I'll talk about here in a bit, the videos are a bit longer. It's about 2-3 minutes. It's not even that long, but they have a lot more to consume. So there's a lot less you have to provide on the landing page. So the landing page is basically just headline, a sub headline, and then either an image of you or an image of like, right now we've been doing this thing where it's like a GIF of like what's inside the VSL. That's literally it. Sometimes we'll put like a couple of bullet points of like what's included or what they'll discover in the training. But for the most part, it's really just the headline, sub headline, picture, and then opt-in.
Okay. You know what? This is going to become one of those episodes. I think the best thing we can do is turn it into a consult. So here we go, everybody. I'm switching gears, and I'm going to start revealing a little bit of what's in my head. I'm going to start seeing Alex build my marketing plan for me. These get fun. So Alex, I've got a couple of offers coming out. One very specific one is going to be, it's about, I don't really know the exact price point right now, but let's just say it's in that $20,000 to $30,000 range. And it's basically an offer for those who are building an information business. And what they end up getting is they basically get my team at Lurn to become their consultants. So they get inside the company and they get a chance to get all of our models, all of our funnels, what we're running, deep insight into all of the different campaigns we've run, how we run them. And then we have like one of the country's like top media buyers, who's our director of media buying. He will be available to them to help them with their strategy. We'll do quarterly events where we meet and we go over the latest and greatest. So it's a mastermind, but with a very active consulting element where it's not just like we get together as a group, but it's very strategic. We actually work with. Now, it's also not for everybody. So it's not for the person that's like, oh, I think I kind of want to start a business. No, I mean, you should either already have an information business or you should be very clear, like, I am building an information business to teach guitar, lessons. Like, not, hey guys, what niche should I do? This is for those who are determined and ready. That's a program I'm building. So it's going after course creators and everything. So like right off the top of your head, like what would possibly the landing page say for if I'm trying to filter leads that are coming from that background?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing here is just, it starts with the ad, obviously, because with the ad, that's really where you're gonna do the most filtering out in regards to getting.
So okay, so let's write an ad. Let's do the ad real quick. Like, yeah.
Okay. Because basically, you want to be as direct as possible in regards to addressing the pain points and the desires of that specific segment of your target market. Which again, we don't want the brand new beginners that they don't really know what they want yet, like they're just starting getting into the information business. But we want the people that they already have something going, or at least they want to scale it up, right? So you want to address the pain points and the desires of those people, where it's like they might have a big issue with like lead generation, but more so like how to increase client retention. Like that's a more specific question, a more specific pain point that they might be dealing with, where a brand new business owner or a brand new like information business owner, they're not really going to resonate with it because they're not at that point yet where they're running into that issue. So again, with the ad, it's just about addressing those pain points and those desires that are specific to that target market. And then on the CTA, the call to action, you're basically you're offering the VSL, which is a training, and you're going to tell them basically on that training what you're going to cover. But more importantly, again, still tying into that main benefit, that main pain point of how you're going to solve it on the training. And then you just follow the same kind of concept on the landing page, because really, again, the headline is just a recap of what the ad talked about.
Got it. So, okay. So selling courses or selling information, that's a little bit broad. So what I was thinking, because I've of course looked at some of your stuff before, inside of our community, we're going to create training. For example, there'll be a whole area for webinar funnels. Like if you want to have webinar funnels, there's going to be like a whole depot where we teach that. There will be a whole like paid media training area where we really get deep with those students and work with them on their paid advertising. I'm in this market a lot, so those are actually two areas where I do see a lot of people asking a lot of questions that are already active, information marketers. They'll ask stuff like, how do I do paid media to scale my... That's actually a question I get personally asked a lot. So I can see an ad that says, hey, do you want to learn how you can sell more of your courses and coaching programs using paid traffic at really, really great ROAS? Keep watching. So you're saying that is how you really filter it down. And maybe I can create like 3 or 4 channels. Like I could have one that's like, hey, are you an information marketer? Do you wish you could use webinars to sell courses for $1,000 to $2,000 on an automated way? And so now like I've got one going after this type of person, one going after this, but they're all coming down into the same core program.
Exactly. And like the more ad spend you have, obviously the more angles you can test, which like, once you have a lot of ad spend, you can test all these different angles and kind of, analyze which one works best. But one other thing I would add on to that, and regards like, like the example you used, if you want to learn how to use paid ads to scale, adding one other element of saying like, if you want to use paid ads to scale with less than like a specific budget. So like say like with less than 10K a month ad spend, or like someone like in a position to afford that, they're not gonna really flinch at that. Whereas like a brand new business owner that's gonna like, all right, this probably won't work for me. So it's kind of little things like that. If you throw those in, it's gonna basically filter out those bad leads, because I don't know if you knew this, but like if they skip the ad, you don't pay for them. You only pay if they watch 30 seconds or more. So that's really why you want to be very direct, so that you can get the bad leads to stop watching the ad and skip the ad, so you don't pay for them.
Okay. So, but let's take this example of paid media. Let's say I've created a track that's like, hey, so the ad, after I've said that I filter them, what am I saying? Because like, what can I teach someone in a 10-15 minute VSL about this? Like maybe I'm thinking too much about it, but like kind of walk me through what the rest of the ad would say, what the landing page would say, and then what I would aim to deliver in the 10 to 15 minute VSL.
Okay. So what would you say is like the 2 or 3 biggest benefits of what this offer is going to do for them?
So they're going to have, first of all, they're going to know exactly, like they're going to learn how to do the ads. They're going to have the whole framework and examples. They're going to have like a team member essentially like watching over them. So they'll have someone to review their results. And third, let's just say maybe, I'll probably put together a bucket of like my best stuff, like my best landing pages and my best ads, and they can have that. So they've got kind of the how to do it. Then they've got a person there to watch them, make sure they're not making mistakes. And then the third is that we've given them a bunch of stuff they can start with.
Yeah. So I guess for that quick example, it's like you want to use like, again, the reason I asked you what those benefits were is like you want to use those as like position them as like what the pain points or the problems that they're running into that those fix. So it's like if we're talking about, you know, using paid ads, obviously if they're getting all this help and like you're obviously their team or your team's helping them, is the possibility or the chance of them wasting their ad spend is going to be way lower than if they try to do it on their own. So it's like basically kind of for the rest of the ad, after you do the hook, you're basically addressing how most information business coaches, course creators that try to run paid ads, they end up wasting money because A, they don't have a proven system to follow. Number two, they don't have a team to basically, or they don't have someone that's going to review their ads every single day, or it's going to help them give them a strategy and review the strategy every single week or month. But basically, again, just tying in those benefits and addressing how it's going to help them in regards to like if they don't do it, or if they don't like have consulting, they don't have coaching with them, they will run into these issues if they haven't yet. So you kind of give them a tidbit on the ad itself, because the ad itself is only 2-3 minutes. The VSL is what's going to be 10 to 15 minutes. But really all you got to do on the ad is just drop that curiosity. So it's basically addressing the fact that, you know, they might waste all this money on ad spend, but if they continue watching the video, if they can click off the ad and watch the training, they're going to find out a surefire way, you know, 3 steps to scaling upwards of XYZ monthly revenue.
So you're pretty clear in the ad too. You're like, hey, I have a program where, you know, you can have my team watching over you. So you're not really hiding that all, even in the ad.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I will say though, is it does depend on the market. So, you know, with you, you're targeting it's B2B. So you want to be a lot more direct. That's what we found with B2B offers, is being a lot more direct and upfront. Whereas B2C is, again, it's a little bit different in regards to the market awareness, as well as the market saturation. But with B2C, you don't have to be as direct, just more so kind of give them a little bit more value. But again, with B2B, I definitely would be a lot more direct.
Be more direct. Okay, wow, that's good advice. So then what about the landing page though? Like so what would say the headline of something like this be to get their email address?
So I guess again, just kind of testing out different ways to recap what you said on the ad and what's going to be delivered on the VSL. But for instance, you could say the 3 pillars to scaling upwards of 100K a month with.
And those 3 pillars are the 3 core benefits of joining my program. That's kind of the overlap there.
Exactly.
So what my big aha here was what you just said. You said for B2B, be more direct. I see my brain, I've always been B2C. So that's why I'm like, wait, I can just like tell them I have a program. Like they're not going to want to click, or my cost per click or my cost per registration or my cost per lead will be so high. But I remember talking to Mike Bontempo once, and he told me, he was telling me about one of his clients. He's like, yeah, we spend $800 a booking. I'm like, you know what? He's like, yeah, but the client's LTV is like $5,000. Right. And that client has only one goal, and they don't want a huge sales team. They only want like 2 or 3 people that are just killing it. And so he does so much filtering that by the time they get on the phone, it's more of like, I take my credit card, I'm ready to go. So I found that intriguing. That's like the opposite of what we do in B2C marketing. It's like, you know, here you spend more money up front, save yourself the headache. Whereas B2C, it's like spend the least, get them in the funnel.
Yeah. One thing I will add too is, in regards to like being a lot more like strict, or I guess filtering a lot harder at the beginning, as you start testing out the ads, like you definitely can be like direct and like a little bit more strict on the ad itself. But on the funnel, I wouldn't add on like as many like filters or like I guess obstacles on the funnel as you start out, because first you want to get as much volume, and then you can add on and filter out as you get the data and see which, you know, where your hottest pockets of buyers are.
Got it. No, that makes sense. What kind of targeting? Let's go backwards. Let's go back to YouTube now. So I've got this ad, and let's just say we're just getting started. I have no pixel history, brand new offer you're launching. What kind of targeting would you start from day one?
Yeah, so with B2B, what's been working extremely well is targeting competitor websites. So basically creating custom audiences off of the website traffic of your competitors. So not just competitors, but also like influencers. So for me, for example, it's like I'll create custom audiences based on my competitors, as well as like tools and software such as ClickFunnels, because I know a lot of my audience is using ClickFunnels. But essentially, when you create those audiences, you're creating an audience of people that are visiting websites just like those websites that you put inside the audience. So using that, because again, that puts you in front of the right niche, I guess you'd call it, the right pocket of buyers. but then you can layer it on with keywords that have high intent. So again, for instance, let's say you target your competitors, and then for the keywords, you'd say how to scale with paid ads. So that way, they're visiting these types of websites, but they're also looking for help with paid ads. So they fit into your niche, and they're looking for your help. That's really how we kind of combine them both. But to start out with, that's typically how we start out, with a brand new ad account. So a bunch of other like campaigns we could run as well, but that's really the core one that we start out with, just testing different audiences.
So I've not done a lot of work with custom audiences, and one of my concerns or one of my objections that screams in my head anytime someone says this is that audience will be so small. So like in theory, what you say sounds awesome. I can go, because for me it would be like ClickFunnels, Kajabi, Teachable, and like there's like 4 or 5, 6 of these sites, right, that a lot of course content creators use to host their courses. There's Lurn Dash, and I mean Lurn Dash alone has a huge community. So let's just say I'm going after them and I plug them all into custom audiences. I guess in my head is like that audience to begin with will be so small because Google doesn't like register everybody, right? So it's maybe half of the actual people using those sites are actually getting pixeled and, are in the ecosystem. And then you layer another keyword on, which is like, how do you pay? What if the audience sizes you found, what do they end up being? Like if you were to go target ClickFunnels, for example, like how much is the audience size actually?
So the thing with these audiences, like they're not creating audiences on the specific traffic that's visiting these websites. They're creating a pocket of audiences that's similar to these people that are visiting the website. So it's not specifically like the traffic that's going to these websites, but more so Google's using the information to put together an audience that's related to the people that are visiting those websites. So I'll just give you an example, like with ClickFunnels, I think it's around 1 billion to 5 billion like weekly impressions. That's kind of how they do like the audience sizes instead of like, I forgot how they do it on Facebook, but on YouTube, it's based on weekly impressions. But with ClickFunnels, I know it's 1 billion to 5 billion. We haven't really ran into like any, I guess, exhaust. I mean, obviously we have to switch it up every now and then, but for the most part, once we find like a good competitor audience, we can spend at least, upwards of $500 a day on that one campaign or one audience.
Huh. All right. So would you do, let's say I had 5 of these, or the 3, I got ClickFunnels, I got Kajabi, and I got Teachable. Would I do 3 separate ones or put them all into one?
So this is where it comes out to budget. So I would say like, if you do have the budget to split them out, I would, but if not, I would just group them into one.
Okay. Got it. What are some good metrics? So let's say I'm working with you. What can I expect cost per lead? Or I'm sorry, cost per like call or cost per booking? There's a number.
Cost per call. So again, B2B and B2C are going to be different in this regard, but with B2B, I would say average is around $200. B2C, it's a little bit lower, around like 125, 150, but we have clients right now, they're getting like $80, $50 calls, but they're getting B2C. But B2B, it is going to be a little bit more expensive.
Are you seeing, so for your clients, are they revealing the price of the program during the VSL, or that's kind of being waited to talk about on the phone?
It's being like, they wait until the phone call to reveal that.
Just trying to see how transparent everything is. Okay, so targeting is pretty, so inside of YouTube, is that what it's called, custom audience, or is it like an affinity audience?
I mean, basically a URL audience, but it is custom segments.
Okay, URL audience. So you go in there, you pop these URLs in. Do you? I remember hearing a strategy once where they said, don't put in, to pick on ClickFunnels, don't put ClickFunnels.com. Instead, take the URL that people would be going to once they log in. And that's the URL you want because that's going to be like the active people that are actually using ClickFunnels. Do you go that far or do you just pop ClickFunnels.com?
We have like tested it out, like split tested it, but like we haven't really found a difference in regards to like one or the other.
Okay. Got it. So I'm going around. So I am thinking along the right, like, okay, for example, like for webinars, right? So let's say I have like a webinar track. I would go put in like webinar, Jam, Ever Webinar, GoToWebinar, Zoom, and all of these, and then layer over it, I don't know, some other keyword that shows me that they have intent. So that's been like your jam. Do you ever not do the layering over keyword?
Yeah, I was going to say that because like when we first started, again, it comes down to the budget stuff. Like if you have a client that doesn't have a huge budget, we'll isolate them first, or like basically like we'll isolate the keywords. So we'll put the keywords in their own campaign and the audiences in their own campaign and run them. It's just to kind of see if the CTR and the view rate, that's kind of what we look at first before we start getting some leads. But once we validate whether or not the audiences or the keywords work, like they work well on their own. Then we layer them together because we know that the keyword works. We know it's getting in front of the right crowd and the audience too, that if that's working too. If we layer them together, it might be a little bit more expensive because like cost per click, but the quality is there because again, it's so hyper specific. But yeah, that's kind of how we do it. It's basically isolate it first and then we layer. There's another thing you can do. Like, I don't know if you've tested out combined segments, but with combined segments, we don't do that until we validate the audiences. But combined segments just basically combining two audiences together. Instead of just doing two audiences in one campaign, you're combining into one audience.
Okay. Wow. All right. Got it. Okay. So, and this is it. Like, this is the funnel and you keep it nice and simple. How many clients do you have running this?
I'd say around 38. I think actively.
All running the exact same funnel.
Yeah. And one thing I will say too is like, we've been seeing a lot of like, it's increased the profitability is on the landing page, asking for the email, name, but also the phone number, but making the phone number optional. So that way, like if they don't put in the phone number, they can still give a name, email, and move forward. But with the phone number, having either like a setter or an automated text follow-up that basically once they opt in, it automatically shoots them a text asking like, you know, if they need help with, for example, for us, we're doing, do you have time for a quick 15 minute chat to see how we can, if and how we can help you with YouTube ads? So that's a little bit more direct for us, but like for other offers, obviously you don't have to be as direct, but we found it to work really well in regards to getting extra like 3-5 sales per month, depending on the ad spend budget.
Wow. Got it. Okay. Awesome. So we talked about the, what is it? Okay. So here's another question or another internal objection that pops up in my head. And that is that if I do so much validating in the actual ad, so I'm like, hey, if you want to make, you know, if you want to do this, blah, 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 but my audience is this huge and I'm going after that segment, my CTR is going to be horrible and YouTube is going to hate me and charge me an insane CPM. Do you not see that? Like you don't actually see that play out?
No, not really. Like we have a lot of clients for like super niche, like small niches. But I think with that, it's just like, if it is like a very, like when I say small niche, like I'm talking way smaller than like courses and course creators and coaches. But what we do is basically target like a little bit more broad in regards to the keyword. Might be a little more broad. If you say like copywriting, for example, it's a broad keyword, but then being very direct, very specific on the ad itself. That's kind of how we can, and vice versa. Like you can either have a more broad or more broad video, and the targeting is a little bit more specific. So again, that's kind of how we test it out, with, play around with it to see what's a little bit better.
Got it. So your CTR still stay healthy. I guess you just make YouTube really do the work to show your ad to the right people.
Yeah, like if we see a CTR that's less than 1%, I mean, honestly, if it's like 0.9, we'll see it, like we'll let it run. But anything less than like 0.9%, we'll just create another script or test another ad.
Okay, got it. All right, so to summarize, everybody, you take your niche, you go to YouTube, you do some custom audiences based on URLs, you layer onto that a keyword that would then show intent. You create an ad, make sure the first 10 seconds of that ad or whatever are super clear. You're going ahead and figuring out who you don't want watching so that they can go away, be very, very clear and direct. Spend the next 2 minutes or so being pretty clear about the fact that there's a program, but you know, here's your pillars or here's the thing. If you want to watch a video of me talk about it, click now. They go to the landing page, very simple, headline, subheadline, name, email, optional phone number, an image of you or the video. They opt in, 10 to 15 minute video. They watch that. You ask them to book a call with your team. Bada bing, bada boom. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. He spent over $8 million. $6 million. How much was it? Yeah, $6 million in ad spend doing this, 38 clients that it's working for. Last question. How long is your follow-up sequence? So when you've got, you know, the emails and text messages, like how long do you just keep going at them before you say, okay, this person's not going to book?
Yeah, we really go like hard with the follow-up for the next like 7 days after they opt in. And then after that, we do it basically on a 2-week, like bi-weekly basis. And then from there, obviously just kind of the general nurture sequence. But what we found, I guess one other thing to add into is like, if you do have a pretty high ad spend budget with the retargeting, that comes in very quickly, especially with anyone who viewed your ad, you immediately retarget them like that. The audience is going to populate within a couple of days. So the retargeting, you know, within like the first couple of days, they're already seeing those ads pop up again. And then, like I mentioned earlier, with Google, we've been finding a really like, it's been really profitable in regards to targeting people who viewed your ad on YouTube. But then if you create a Google search campaign, just very broad keywords. So if they search for, in this instance, like paid ads, like a very general keyword like that. But if they watch your ad on YouTube and then they see your ad again on Google, that's been working extremely well in regards to recap or recouping those fallen leads.
Oh, I love that. Okay, in case people didn't follow that, what's really interesting about Google search is that you can show search ads only to a retargeting audience. So here's two people. Person one searches for paid ads, but they've never seen you, never watched your video, never clicked your URL. They will not see your ad. Person two recently clicked, watched your video, opted in, maybe saw your ad, watched all the way through. If they typed in paid ads, they'll see your ad on the search results. And so that makes you more relevant, makes you stay in front of them. But you don't want to show it to this person because there's no relevance. They don't know who you are, and you're going to burn money. But over here, what Alex just said is you'll get a great result from it. So that's awesome.
$20, $30 calls from that. It's pretty insane.
That's killer, dude. Good for you. So what I'm noticing here, this is kind of my takeaway, because when I'm teaching copy or when I'm working with copywriters, there's one word that I am so hardcore about, and actually make them write it in big letters and pin it on their cubicle wall, and that is specificity. And I've always said, you take any copy, you make it more specific, it'll convert better. Like, that's the easiest way to make copy convert better. I am noticing that that is the core of your entire marketing strategy. Is like I even said right now, it's like course creators and information marketers is too generic. Like, that would not work well. But what I'm seeing is a vision where I can create 4 or 5 channels, but I got to get specific. So it's like, okay, what are 4 or 5 things course creators struggle with? Paid ads, webinars, whatever their common issues are, or what are the common elements of my coaching program? And like, but that way I can be more specific on that, the video, and more specific in my VSL. And all of that's just going to lead to higher quality calls for the sales team to have.
Exactly. Like, not just on the ad, but, like you said, throughout the funnel. That's really where I see like probably one of the biggest what do you call it, mistakes that most people make when it comes to YouTube ads, like YouTube ad funnel, not being specific enough, which again, that is really how I base my entire strategy off of.
What are some like crazy niches that this has worked in? So you got to have a few that you're like, this is out there. Like, it worked even in this niche, because yeah, it'll work in business and all of that. But like, what are some other off topic niches?
Like, for example, we have one client, he's more so on the done with you side. He started a couple of weeks ago, but he's a drumming coach for like worship drumming. But for him, he spent like $1,600. Do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea. Like, what the hell is worship drumming? There you go. That's a good example of an off the chart niche.
It's basically drumming for like church service.
Oh, I was gonna say, do they drum on warships?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, he basically teaches them how to like get into the church and like drum for for churches. But for him, like, he spent like $1,600. He already get like, it's great. I think it's because like his niche is like so like, I mean any niche really on YouTube, it's really blue ocean, but his niche is so specific and it's super blue that I think he got like 8 sales already. His price point's at 1,600, but he spent around 2K. So I think he said he got around like 3x cash collected and like 10x revenue generated. But like, that's one example. And then we have another client. He's basically a marriage coach, I guess you could call it, but more specifically for Catholic men. So it's always like a couple of things like that, or little things like that, where it's like, it can be a little bit broader of an offer, but the niche or the audience is super, super specific in that sense.
Very interesting. Very, very cool. Hey, so another one. Give me one more.
So we also had this other client who's basically a business coach, but more so specific for the yoga teachers, like yoga studio owners. So we get a lot of that too, like people who help business owners, but in a specific niche. We get a lot of those.
How do you target that? So let's say I was just listening to Alex's story, right? Gym owners or whatever, and yoga owners. Let's say it's a yoga. Well, I don't want to take your client strategy. So let's say I do. All right, I'm a therapist. I don't know. Pick any topic, but how do you do that? Like, how business coaching for a blah.
Yeah, so like, it's one thing to kind of address on the ad itself, is just talking about business, but also again, just being specific with who the video is for. Like, I'll give you that example, like the client that we have with the yoga studio owners, like he's literally calling them out within the first couple of seconds. But then the targeting, it's more specific around yoga, like interest, like yoga keywords. So we tested it out where it's like we split test them both, like business audiences, business keywords, and then yoga audiences, yoga keywords. But the yoga interest, like the yoga keywords and audiences, did work a lot better in regards to getting in front of that audience.
But if I'm targeting yoga, just like yoga, it doesn't mean that those people are really have a yoga business. So
exactly, that's why like
you just call it out in the beginning. Wow. I never thought that, man. I never thought you could go that macro, and as long as you just dial in the first 10, 15 seconds, that's all you have to do. That's interesting.
a lot of people overthink that, overthink it too. But it's like really like YouTube algorithm, I guess you could call it. They're really good with that in regards to optimizing extremely quickly in regards to like who's clicking on your ad, who's skipping the ad, who's watching the ad. But even like beyond that, you know, if we see that doesn't work, that's when we start layering the audiences with the interest. So let's say we have a business, anyone that's searching for business keywords layered with anyone that's interested in like meditation apps or yoga like apps. So that way we're layering them both. But again, it's just about being very specific on the ad itself.
It's incredible, man. I'm blown away. Well, so we specifically, you know, in this episode, we didn't even end up talking about it, so I'm probably going to name it something different. But we were going to talk about the 250K in 30 days. And I guess we kind of did. I mean, that was one of your clients. So here's a question. Did they come in? So 250K, what was the ad spend on that?
That's the thing. That's why he's one of my favorite case studies, because he came in working with us at 5K a month ad spend. He originally was running ads on Facebook, and that's why he came over to us, because you just couldn't get anything to work there. So he started with 5K a month ad spend. At this point, he's spending 75K a month on ad spend. But the results I just gave you were from last month in regards to just, he spent less than 20K and generated over 250K in sales. He's a real estate investment coach. But again, when he started with us, it was just him like taking the sales calls. At this point, I think he's like 2 setters and 1 salesperson. So he's building his team, and we did have to scale back the ad spend for him to like get that dialed in a bit. But like I said, this month, he's spending over 75K a month in ad spend.
That's incredible. That's got 10x return on ad spend. That's so huge. And same funnel, same thing, same ad, same targeting, same VSL, same everything. Huh? Okay, so
I mean, one thing I will say too, because I get this a lot, where it's like I'll give these case studies, like it's not just the YouTube ads, but it's also like his sales process is what's converting these leads too. It's important to understand that like without a validated or verified sales process that's closing these leads, none of this is going to work. So it's not just like the YouTube ads, because I don't want it to seem like just once you have YouTube ads, then you'll scale up, you know, get these crazy results. But it is as well as like what's on the back end. I guess like the follow up in the sales process.
No, you're right. Perfect advice. Guys, it's all the pieces of it. Of course, when I do case study episodes, I only care about the pieces that I'm interested in. I already know my back end will be amazing, and that whole process will convert. So I'm glad you brought that up, Alex. That's very important, because you can get the best leads. If there's no one there to close them, then you're not going to make any money. Alex, this has been an absolutely amazing episode. And again, super short, just because you were so to the point and your strategy is so simple. I've fallen in love with it. I'm sure there's a bunch of people listening right now that want more Alex in their life. They might even want to talk about, I know you have a course that you've launched. I know you have a done for you agency. Where can people go to get more Alex?
Yeah, so if you just go to digitalblitz.co, you'll find all the information there. We have a couple of case studies on there, as well as a VSL, like basically a video training that kind of outlines everything I just talked about in this video. Yeah, you just go to digitalblitz.co or email me at alex@digitalblitz.co.
It's awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you to all of you guys. Go to digitalblitz.co. And what do I always say? When life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. Now listen, lurnexpert.com, LURNEXPERT.com. Go there. We've got an amazing community that we're building. It's free, of all information marketers, course creators. You know my whole thing, right? The whole world of education is changing, will change. We're going to be at the forefront of it. I want to impact education in a way that's never been impacted before, by connecting the actual people who know directly to the people looking. Forget all these intermediaries in the middle. And we want to show you how to do that. So not only can you build a business, but you can actually help change the entire face of education. So learn, LURNexpert.com, anikpodcast.com to binge listen to all of our episodes. Make sure you click subscribe right now and click the like thing and just all that fun stuff. And if you're listening to us on any other platform, make sure you hit subscribe and give us a great review. And of course, digitalblitz.co to check out more about Alex and all his amazing work. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. When life pushes you, stand straight, smile, push the heck back. See you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.